Today, I want to talk about honesty and trust in terms of working in and around the music industry. Now, I've had an opportunity to work in a lot of different environments with a lot of different people all over the world. And I just have been able to move into certain situations, and I've had great times in some of them, and some of them were not so great, and I had to move on. But within those, the way that I got to a point where I was able to determine all that is honestly, honesty. And so building your brand, becoming the artist, becoming the entrepreneur that you want to be, it is all about starting with taking stock and being honest with yourself about you. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you sell. You are your brand. And so if you're not able to be 100% honest with yourself and decide what skills you have, what skills you don't, and what you're willing to work on in order to get you to grow into what you're trying to be, then your whole situation is going to be hard. Okay, so you need to start with being honest with yourself about what you have, what you don't, what you're capable of, and what you're not. And if you're not capable of something, there's no need to fake it. You don't got to lie to get down, right? So it's easier to work with people who are better at said skill, who can help you to grow and cultivate said skill instead of just lying about the skill. And here's the thing, do the work. Because believe it or not, when you do the work and people see you doing the work, they appreciate, admire, and respect you more because they can see you doing the work. It's not a whole thing about, being at this level and being this great. Like, yes, you want to get there, and yes, everybody wants to get to that point, but that's a destination thing. We're just talking about the journey, okay? So step one, take stock, be honest with yourself, okay? Now, step two, got to trust the science. Got to trust that, right? So once you have taken stock, once you've been like, okay, these are the things I'm good at, these are the things I'm bad at, this is what I need to grow at, this is where I need help, right? Move on that, okay? Move on it. I'm serious. So start growing your skills. Start looking at YouTube videos. Start reading books. There's so many publications on just about anything that you want to know. This literally is the information age, and all of us walk around with a supercomputer in our pockets. So why are we not doing research? But I'm sure there's something else to watch other than World Star and OnlyFans. Unless, well, I don't know. There's 3D Nati has an OnlyFans. It's all about business and marketing. So if you're watching that, that's cool. Anyway, shout out to 3D Nati. Anyway, so you want to make sure that you are trying to grow into who you're going to be. Again, this whole thing is about the journey, not the destination. And the thing is, and I got to say this, a lot of people, they focus so much on the destination that they don't take time to become who they'll need to be during the journey, so that they're not who they need to be when they finally reach their destination. All right. So it's so important to take the time to learn, grow, and allow yourself to become the person, the entity, the brand, the salesperson, the speaker, the musician, the parent, the teacher, the coach, the whatever. So that when you get those phone calls, when you get into those rooms, when you're having those $1 million conversations, it's not a question of, will they hire me? It's more like, you are stupid if you don't. And I mean, it's a whole lot easier to feel that confident if you know you've done the work, right? So while you can fake it till you make it, and faking it might get you in the door, faking it will not keep you there. Okay. And it's not so much about getting the job, it's about keeping the job, right? So you got to make sure that your skills are worthy of your time and energy, other people's time and energy, and eventually people's money, right? And so you need to put in the work, you need to put in the time, you need to invest in yourself. All right. All of that stuff comes from taking stock, being like, these are the things I need to do to grow, and then working on those things. Learn and grow. Please understand, like, this is all digital. It's all, it's evolving. This whole like music industry space it's like space. It's growing exponentially all the time. And not only because of the number of people that are involved in it, but also because of the number of ways that are coming online that you can make money at it. So that's a whole other reason to stay dialed in, just because all of these other things are coming online. And honestly, the creators are the ones who have all the power. What's crazy is most of them sign it away. But you create. You have the power. You have the ability. But you have to design your situation so that you can take advantage of all of the things that you're able and capable of doing. So, starts with being honest with what you can and cannot do. Then you, bless you, then you want to go into, trusting that and really working on building off of that, right? So once you have had an opportunity to build that foundation and to build that skill set out, and you're ready to kind of venture out and, work with others, meet others, whatever else, when you're going into those situations and when you're meeting and vibing with other people, you want to make it a point to look at the situations and the vibe. And honestly, if you get, that spider sense, it's like, this ain't a great situation, trust it. Another part of this is trusting your gut. Trusting your energy, trusting the vibes. That's a very important thing. Trusting your gut is something that will help you with how you should move in certain places. Because while you always want to show up as your authentic self, and you always want to be a person that people can say, oh, well, this person doesn't change, at the same time, you also want to be able to maneuver and to navigate properly given certain situations. And honestly, that really is just about how you deal with people. Okay? And a lot of the stuff that we do is people. It's all people. It's relationships, it's cultivating relationships, it's having conversations, it's talking about, the so-and-so person's birthday, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it showing that you care doesn't take a lot. But when you show you care, it means a lot. And when you do that, you're building social capital. You're building credibility with people. You're giving people a reason to want to do things with you, for you, to work with you. And a lot of times, a lot of the situations that I've been able to get into have almost, I won't say nothing, but I know that, in my city alone, right, I know that there are other people who are just as talented, if not more so. And I can be real about that, right? But I know that I get jobs and I work with people and everything, and it's a lot more based on the personality of the person you're working with. It's a lot more based on the vibe you get in the room than anything. I mean, you can turn to any producer video on YouTube right now where they're talking about your studio setup and how to work with other artists. And the first thing they're going to tell you is that, maybe not the first thing, but I guarantee you within that talk, how you set up your studio space and whether it's a calming vibe and it's welcoming and people like it there, that's going to be a main part of it, right? So energy is a huge, huge thing. And even though most people don't really talk about it like that, the people who do. The people who do. The people who know about the importance of energy, those are the people who are able to move into and out of these situations with the most grace and effortlessness. And so a lot of that really has to do with understanding people in enough that you know how to move around certain personalities, right? Because there are those interesting gatekeeper kind of personalities everywhere. The hope for some of this is that we will demystify some of this stuff so you won't even need to interact with those folks. But some people you will. And so you really have to learn how to navigate those situations. And a lot of times it's managing yourself within the situation, but also understanding how to move around people's energy, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so trust your gut. Okay. So after trusting your gut, the next most important thing is to trust the process. Okay. This thing is going to take time, but you ever hear the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day? The thing is, you're going to be working at this for a while, but I don't know anybody who owns a business that feeds them that doesn't spend lots of time on that business. Okay. So the thing is, you gotta be willing to put your hands in. You gotta be willing to get your hands dirty. You gotta be willing to figure out all the moving parts, or in as much of it as you can, and then where everything's located from there. Okay. So make sure you're working through. And if you are a person who is not able to do certain parts, or there are things you don't know, well, you have the ability to either grow those skills yourself or find somebody with those skills, and hopefully you can invite them into or have them become a part of your team. But that whole team building thing, that's a that's a whole other video for another time. All right. But suffice it to say, as far as building goes, think about it like this. You're building a machine, right? And so in this machine has an engine. Ta-da, you're the engine. So the energy that you put in is what everybody else is going to put in. So if you're not putting in a ton of energy, but you expect everybody else to be moving, they're not going to move if you're not, because you're the motor. But every machine has a ton of moving parts. And as the motor, you're the heart, you're the mind, you run the machine, you're the soul of the machine. So then you have to figure out how those moving parts work. And the thing is, you don't have to know all of it at once, because honestly, nobody does. That's the reason why there's so many of us in this space that are trying to teach people what the moving parts are, because nobody knows what the moving parts are, not all of them. And like I said earlier, there's more parts of this coming online every day. So the moving parts are changing, and there's so many different ways to create a viable situation for yourself financially if you just understand what those ways are. And so, I want to delve into some of that. So I want to spend some time talking about like the different things that one can do. And, we'll get to that. But for right now, let's talk about building the machine. All right. So moving parts. So the whole thing is that you may not know what all the parts are. You may know I have part A and I have part B, but I don't know how to connect part A to part B. So you're going to then cultivate a situation to connect those two, right? And then once you cultivate that situation, it's like, okay, I got those two connected. Now I need to get these two connected. And so that's what you do. And you're going about, connecting the parts, building the connective tissue, creating that sinew, right? Scientific people. And once you get all that actually in and running, you can then turn the machine on. The beautiful thing about turning the machine on is the machine is an ATM, right? But it only works if you build it right. So that means paperwork, right? There's no business that you could do where you don't have to do paperwork. Taxes, there's no business you can run legally that doesn't pay taxes. And if you're looking to scale or expand, you really need to keep track of your numbers and your finances, if for no other reason than to be able to eventually walk into a bank and be like, hey man, let me get this money because I'm doing this thing and it's gonna be huge, but I need this money to do it. Anyway, so there's lots of moving parts, like I said, and there's a lot of ways to find all of those moving parts. But the thing is to understand that those moving parts exist, and to understand that it is your job to figure out which moving parts your machine needs. Because the thing is, everybody's machine is specific to themselves, specific to their brand, specific to what it is they do. And so while you would have no problem building my machine if I gave you the template, you're not me. So your engine won't run my machine. My engine may not run your machine, right? Every machine is special, requires its own engine, and that's you. So you got to be that. But so anyway, got to build a machine, right? So once you can build out the machine, once you have an understanding of the fact that there are moving parts and you're doing what you can to connect those parts together to get everything to work together, you basically have things moving. From there, it's just about, use that vibe situation. Find your vibe, find your tribe, right? And then pretty much from there, you're just growing. Just remember, it's not about the destination. Like, yes, you want to get to this place, and that's wonderful. But the thing is, you need to understand that the journey is the most important part of this. You want to make sure that you are working and developing so that when by the time you reach your destination, you have become who you will need to be in order to really assume that role. Okay? So we're going to keep having these conversations and we're going to chop it up. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm glad to have you. We're going to do lots more of these. I want you to like and subscribe. Share comments. I mean, some people are watching this who are on their own journeys. And if you are on your own journey, awesome. I want to know about it. Happy to have the conversations. If you want to connect with me, you can here. I'm all over all the socials. So you can follow me on Insta. I got a Facebook thing happening where you can check out Mainland, or you can look at my music. Rashawn Medlock is my name. I will probably post a link somewhere. So just be mindful of that. But otherwise, let's get it.